All right. Interestingly enough, this video is less about this game, and it's actually more about me. So let's elaborate. Last year, in the spring, I knew it. I knew that this stupid NVIDIA notification was going to go off. I knew it. I was just waiting. It's been the same one about what is this one? I don't even know what it says. Something about heat. Like, I get it every single time I turn my computer on. Oh, it infuriates me. Anyways, all this to say, I made a video about Dark Souls 2 about a year and a half before I recorded this video. And I was thinking, kicking around in my head, I've coming up with ideas for this 30 days thing, and I thought, well, I critique games a lot and I say what they do right and wrong. What about me? What do I do right and wrong? And obviously this video is a very early video within my video making career. I think I had only been at it for maybe like a month at that time, and I'm even then not much further along now, I would say. But I wanted to look at that video, and I wanted to look at how I wrote it and how I laid it out and see like what was right with it and what was wrong. Because I do think there's some really good nuggets in there, but I also think there's a lot of really big problems with that video in terms of what it's trying to get across and how it's saying it. And I think a lot of that resulted in it being under 1,000 views. Now, it has gotten almost 900 views, which is way more than I ever thought it would get. But it's also not a successful video in that metric because it just didn't get a lot of views. And normally, if I'm okay with something quality-wise and it doesn't get a lot of views, like my how to save Xbox video or my Dark Souls 3 video, I would normally say, okay, those only got like 100 or something views, but I am happy with how I made those. I think that they were really cool. So that's different than this one where I can look at it and pretty clearly say, I did some things wrong. And the thing I want you to think about and the thing I want you to remember is that we can all always benefit from looking back at our own ideas and our own creations and seeing if we did them right or not or wrong. Because a lot of what I do now with my YouTube channel is I look at things that I've already played or experienced or knew about, and I try to challenge myself on how I think about them. And that's a lot of what Pause is that I want it to be, is I want to be able to challenge what you're thinking, and I want to be able to look at our memories and really be able to say, are we being nostalgic? Are we being too harsh? Are we being not harsh enough? What was good and what wasn't from the past, so we can actually sit and talk about it. So if I can't do it for myself, then I certainly can't do it for Sneak King. I don't have the sealed copy. Apologies to the commenter who mentioned that in one of my shorts today. So the first point that I want to break down is I want to take the thing that I think I did the best in the entire video. I rewatched it, I looked at the script again, and the thing that I think I did the best was the discussion on fairness. I go off about fairness for probably about 5 or so minutes in this video, where I discuss how fairness is really not something that you can measure metrically. There's this whole concept about tough but fair, that Dark Souls was never about difficulty, that was never the point, etc., etc., etc. But the thing that it misses is that my idea of fair and your idea of fair when it comes to video games is going to be vastly different. And sometimes it comes down to, do I have 10 fingers and do you have 10 fingers? Because someone with 9 fingers might have a harder time with the game. You know what I mean? So fairness is really subjective. And a lot of what I talked about in that section was just talking about how I didn't see making an argument on fairness to be an effective argument against the game. Because a lot of times what you think is fair is what you're basing it off of Dark Souls 1's idea of fairness is. This is a different game. This is a game that we're asking to somehow be more novel while also maintaining this fairness that is completely different for you and me. I might say the Capra Demon is fair and you might not. Nobody says that, but that's my example, right? And a lot of it comes down to just, well, did you look at it? Did you actually earnestly try to learn? Because if you can try to learn and you can't actually do the thing it's asking you to, I think that's an easier case to make for not being fair than, oh, well, I just didn't like the way that this boss was laid out. Of course you didn't. It's meant to be challenging. It's meant to make you uncomfortable. It's meant to annoy you. Did you ever think about these things? Do you ever consider the fact that maybe the developers want you to be frustrated and they want you to try to push yourself more? Did you ever think that, yes, those Cyclops hippopotamuses are stupid and they have those really bad hitboxes, so just don't get near them? You know what I mean? If you know they're going to grab, get away as much as you can. If you know that there's a big room of enemies, I don't know, maybe don't charge in there and think that you're going to be able to like kite them or something. Like, I go over all this in the video. And my point is that the point of Dark Souls is not to be fair, it is to make you figure out how to overcome a challenge. And it can't be a challenge and also be fair, because then it's not a challenge. And I think I did that argument really well. I think I used a lot of examples, and I ended up buckling that own argument under itself. And I honestly think that that by itself would make a really good video. And that might be something I put on the docket for later in this challenge, or maybe later down the line, because I do think it's a really great discussion. Malcolm in the Middle said it best, man. Life is unfair. I don't know if that was the right notes. This is not a singing channel. Point two, okay, the thing that I think could be cut from the video and should have been cut, and if I had any sort of editing skills at the time that weren't just plop it in Resolve and export, it would be the build crafting section. Because look, I love build crafting. It's one of my favorite things to do in video games, period, end of sentence. I love trying to break the game with its own tools. That's one of my favorite things. It's why I loved Destiny 2. It's why Division 2 has got me slogging through its main campaign, because I hear the build crafting is really good and I want to try that. And Dark Souls 2, it does have good build crafting. But I go and I like break down my whole build. I basically do a build crafting video like in the middle of this video. But also, isn't it supposed to be like a critical essay and also a response to like other discussions? So like, why are you breaking down your build crafting guide? Why are you talking about a rapier build? And to be fair, the rapier build is a really good example of how strong and diverse Dark Souls 2's build crafting is. But that's not what the video is about, right? That's its own separate video. Dark Souls 2's build crafting is peak. Like, that's a video right there, right? Like, I could make that video tomorrow and it would work. But I can't include that in a critical response essay, because what am I trying to prove? Especially because I think most people would probably tell you that Dark Souls 2's biggest strength, regardless of how you feel about the game, something that everybody can agree with, is that the build crafting is really good. So if I'm trying to change your mind on no, Dark Souls 2 is good actually, why am I using build crafting and why am I going so in depth on it, other than to basically show off? I think that the intention that was there was to show off that I knew the technical details of the game, that I knew what I was talking about. And I don't really know that I needed to do that. I don't think I needed to establish that authority. I don't really think it added to the overall message of the video. I think it detracts a lot, honestly, because again, it just shows I don't know how to convey my message correctly. I don't know what to make what of a video. I'm just sitting here like, you know what, I'll throw build crafting in the middle of this, and people are watching and they're like, what are we doing? Like, what is going on here? It's not effective in the actual spine of the video. And to that point, our next point here and our final point, the kind of biggest point, I think, period, about this video is that it doesn't have one. It doesn't have a spine. It doesn't have a point. It started as me actually hating the game, and then I actually committed to playing it, and I actually really enjoyed it once I learned its mechanics and I let it teach me how it wanted me to play. So the first iteration of the video was more about that. And then I got mad because of how many people write things off because they don't want to understand the system. So it started becoming this like critical response essay. And then I started like name and shaming, which I don't think is very effective when I can't make a comprehensive or comprehensible video. Also, I left a burp in there completely on accident. And while I do think that is funny, somebody did call me out in the comments for it. And now I cut my burps out. So thank you for that comment. And I think it's really, really hard to appeal to authority when I not only don't have any, but I'm also showing why I don't have any, because I can't even make a cohesive point. A video about you're all wrong about Dark Souls 2 can be 10 minutes long and can really break down, again, just the fairness argument. But that could be its own video, because that can be taken into a wider meta narrative about the entire Soul series, and you can include Sekiro and Elden Ring in there. Or you can make a video about build crafting, or you can make a video about, well, this is what people are saying, and this is kind of my response, and I don't want to be mean or rude about it. This is sort of my opinion on their opinion, right? Like that could be a video too. And this video is kind of all of those things put together. So it doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know how to get to its point. It doesn't know how to do anything but go around in circles while occasionally making a good point or a good argument. And I think that's probably why it's not a great video. And thankfully now that I'm this far along, like I have been doing this for years, I think I understand much better how to make the points that I want and how to send them, how to get to that point, how to break it down. And that's one of the benefits that this 30-day challenge has been giving me, is that I can do those things now. Whereas when I started, when I was writing, when I wasn't really clear on what it was I was trying to get across, and I recorded parts of the game on Steam Deck, so I don't even know if they look that good, and I am going to use that B-roll because I'm not replaying Dark Souls 2 just for this video. I'm sorry, you're not you're not going to get that from me because I don't have that kind of time, and I don't think we need to see Forest of the Fallen Giants again. But overall, I think looking at it now, I'm really glad that I can look at it and I can see what can be picked out of it and what can be left behind and how to reformat that into different videos. And I think that it's so important to be able to do that with everything, right? And it's part of why I'm willing to go and find games that I've played a lot, but I haven't played in years, and replay them and say, okay, how do I feel about it now? Because now everything is different in my life. I have a different contextual basis. The way that I'm looking at analyzing at things is completely different. It's part of why Metal Gear Solid 5 is not my favorite video game, because when I played it when I was 20, I didn't get it the way that I do when I'm 30. And a lot of my ideas and concepts were influenced by the internet. And nowadays, I don't let the internet influence my opinions and tastes, which is part of why some people might think I have controversial opinions, because I just say what I think. I don't parrot what the common answer is on Reddit. Sometimes we tend to be on the same page, like with Order 1886, but that's not very common. What do you think? Do you like going back and looking at your old stuff, regardless of how much it's going to hurt you? Do you like thinking about your work and figuring out how to improve from it? Do you want to never think about that stuff again? Yeah, let me know in the comments below. Because we are now at day, let me check. Let me make sure I get the number right. I believe this is 19. Yes, day 19. 19 of recording and posting a video every single day for 30 days. I am really having a blast. I do these recordings in batches, so it's really, really cool as they go to get to watch myself evolve, to get to see how the ideas are really taking shape in their groups. I like that because it allows me to try some new things within those groups too. So you might have noticed I've been adding more gameplay to these. So I figured out some easier ways to do that. Of course, gameplay footage channels, those are very helpful and I appreciate them. And I want to make sure those guys get credit whenever they can. But I'm having a blast. There we go. I was trying to say grand time and blast, and I was going to, I'm having a grand time. Having a grand time. Thanks for watching.